This screen just lets you know about the staff we have here in Matt Broward team. We have me, Nicole Francis, here as, again, Community Relations and Outreach section. I'll speak to you in just a bit about what I do here in the office. And we have our two presenters on here, Lorena and Kenny, if you need to get in touch with them. Go ahead, Kenny.
Thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Sandy, for that introduction. And thank you all for attending this webinar. We have a great session planned for you this afternoon. As you notice, maybe from the theme of the presentation and our name tags, so mine's a little crooked, but as I'm sure you've noticed, we want this presentation to not only teach you about our program and give you an opportunity to learn about us, but we also want to learn about you all as well. So again, just a friendly reminder to drop your name, your position, the city that you're from, because we also want to get to know you as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to get into today's overview for this presentation. So the first thing we're going to talk about and give you is an overview of the Mobility Advancement Program. We're going to be talking about what is Matt Broward. We're going to be talking about the status of Matt Broward projects, the benefits of participating in this program, and we're going to talk to you about two major functions of our section, which is compliance and monitoring. We're going to get into the 8 steps of compliance and monitoring, and we're going to talk about what happens when you need to make changes or you need to modify your team. We're going to be talking about good faith efforts and liquidated damages. We're also going to be talking about piggybacking and continued services agreement. And as Nicole mentioned, we're going to get into community relations and outreach in that portion of our office's role. And then last but not least, we're going to open it up to questions so that you guys can put them in the chat and let us know. Or actually put them in the Q&A and let us know. Next slide, please. So what is Matt Broward? So Matt Broward, formerly known as Surtax, it stands for the Mobility Advancement Program. This is a voter-approved program that focuses on innovating transportation, infrastructure, and the future of rail throughout the county and the municipalities. Some of the major aims of this program is to create connectivity, manage traffic systems, enhance multimodal options, and ensure that economic development benefits are seen and it sparks economic development within those areas. This program started back in 2018 when residents voted to add an extra penny to their sales tax. That penny would then go to every year being collected for a total of $355 million until the year 2049. And that $355 million that is being collected is going towards funding these projects going forward. So now that we talked about kind of the inception of this program, let's talk about where the program is now. Next slide, please. So what is the current status of Matt Broward projects as we see it? So currently there's a total of 86 awarded projects. That's 86 projects that have just started, are in process, or have been completed. Out of those 86 awarded projects, 44 of those are municipal and 42 of those are Broward County projects. So we're kind of seeing almost a 50-50 split there. Among those projects, there's a CBE goal of about 31%. That's an average CBE goal. And just to give you all a refresher, CBE stands for County Business Enterprise. And the goal that we place on these projects, or the recommended goal, as Sandy mentioned, is the percentage of the project that would be set aside for small businesses to be utilized in that regard. So currently there's an awarded amount, a total awarded amount of these projects of $879.4 million. Out of that 879.4, $356.8 million are projected to go to county business enterprises, or CBEs, and $39.8 million has already been paid to CBEs. So that's real dollars going to real small businesses in real time. Next slide, please. So what are some of the benefits that your city gets from participating in this program? Well, when it comes to Matt Broward, we went over some of the aims, but some of the benefits include creating awareness and really creating that intrigue for visitors to come to your city. A lot of visitors come to cities because of the ease of access, the ease of transportation, how quickly it is to get from one place to the other. So that makes it very attractive, makes your city very attractive to visitors and also businesses thinking of moving down as well. Some of the other benefits include creating opportunities for small businesses, increasing your local tax base by creating jobs for those in your city that are looking to get involved in some of these programs or in some of these projects, I should say. And then one of the other benefits include just public transportation, the good of your residents, enhancing that quality of life and increasing the ease of transportation within going from work to your home. We all talk about this live, play, and work situation. Well, it starts in your city and the infrastructure that is built into it to allow that to happen. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the two major functions of our section, which is compliance and monitoring. And we like to refer to this 8 steps because it kind of gives you a snapshot of all of the things we kind of look at when it comes to compliance and monitoring. For instance, step 1, when we receive your project for a goal. So it comes to us in the form of a request for goal assignment form. And once it reaches our office, we then review it and assign it a goal. As Sandy mentioned, we just don't only assign goals, but we also take a look at your bid prior to it going out to make sure that our solicitation language is in there so that when you get your bids back and we review them for compliance, we've already included that in the language so that they know exactly what they need to do to be compliant with our CBE small business requirements, and they have the best chance of being awarded the project as per our requirements go. So once we review those bids, we're going to inform the municipality of those vendors that are compliant and non-compliant with our program. And then once the project is awarded, that's when the city will come to us and let us know, hey, this vendor has been awarded the project, and we'll begin what's called our monitoring process. And through monthly utilization reports, we go ahead and track these payments that are made to the CBEs as well as the prime to make sure that the project is going according to plan. And then at the completion, we do a final evaluation, closing out the project and making sure that one, the attainment was met and the payments have been made. A couple things to note as well. OESBD provides reports to the Oversight Board on a quarterly basis. The Oversight Board is a separate group of board members designed to oversee the program. OESBD also copies the municipality as well as the vendor when it comes to any communications regarding the CBEs or MURs, etc. The municipalities are also encouraged to contact us if they have any questions or concerns relating to our program or the utilization of the small businesses throughout the process. And we strongly encourage that. Next slide, please. So let's start with step 1. Let's break this down from the very beginning when it comes to submitting a request for goal assignment form. So you'll go to our website and you can access it through the link that's on this presentation. And it'll send you to, or actually it'll bring up a PDF of the request for goal assignment form, which is seen on the left-hand side. Now, this request for goal assignment form has many fields, but the most important part to remember is that it's all complete. If you have sections that are missing, please make sure you fill that all out because that will guarantee, well, not guarantee, but it will give you a best chance of us not returning it back to you to revise. So we want to make sure that the form is indeed filled out, and you want to submit your form to spsurtax@broward.org. You want to also remember the following. It's one form per solicitation. I understand sometimes a project may have different phases, such as the design or the construction phase. And we just want you to remember that if those phases are going to be solicited separately, then they need a form for each solicitation. We also want to let you know that you're only supposed to be reporting the amount of surtax dollars that's on the contract. So I know that sometimes there's mixed funding, or maybe the city has a separate pot of money that they're using on the project. On this request for goal assignment form, we only want you to put the amount of surtax dollars, because when it comes to tracking and monitoring the project and the payments, we only want to take a look at that amount. We also, if you go scroll down on this request for goal assignment form, eventually you'll see a table. That table will ask you to provide the scopes on the project. The reason why is when we're determining the goal or evaluating the project for a goal if eligible, we look at those scopes to make sure and see if our CBEs are qualified to perform those. So in order to get an accurate goal on your project, we ask that you include all of the scopes involved and all of the services involved as well. Last but not least, if there is mixed funding, as I mentioned before, we want to know about about it. So if you do have mixed funding, make sure to make us known of that by either sending us an email or including that in the form. And if there's federal funding, especially, because that can impact the eligibility of your project receiving a goal. Next slide, please. So step 2, we received your request for goal assignment form, and now we're evaluating it for a goal. So the CBE goal determination consists of, once we receive your request for goal assignment form, it's transferred to a specialist. A specialist then takes approximately 10 business days to review and conduct their evaluation. If there's any revisions that need to be made, we will let you know by sending you an email. But if there is if your project is eligible for a CBE participation goal, or if there is a lack of, meaning that there is a no goal due to maybe it's not meeting the qualifying threshold in terms of contract amount, or perhaps there's mixed funding that prevents there from being a goal, we will let you know by putting that in the memo as well. We'll let you know if the project is subject to the WIP determination or the Workforce Investment Program or the Construction Apprenticeship Program, also known as CAP. We'll let you know by putting that into the memo, and we'll be sending the memo to you via email. Now, I want you all to also take note that these goals have a 6-month shelf life. What does that mean? That means from the date that we've placed the goal and you've received it, there is a 6-month shelf life on it. If it hasn't been solicited within those 6 months, it needs to come back to be reevaluated for a goal. Now, this does not include projects that are piggybacking off of certain contracts, as their procurement or the way that they procure is different. But however, if it's a regular project that you're sending to us for a goal and it's been more than 6 months and it hasn't been solicited, we ask that you bring it back to us for a goal. The reason why is because when it comes to our CBE directory, the CBEs are constantly changing in regards to more CBEs becoming certified or more CBEs being entered or leaving our directory. Now, that could impact the goals. The goal that we placed on a project 6 months prior might not be the same goal that we place 6 months later. Now, it's important that that 6-month shelf life is known, because if it's been more than 6 months, then we will need to reevaluate it for a CBE goal. Next slide, please. Okay, now we're talking about the solicitation language. Now, when you're compiling your bid, we ask that you include our solicitation language, which is found on the link in this presentation slide. Now, this solicitation language talks about the requirements for our small business CBE program, including the 30% goal, or it will actually state not just 30%, but it will state the goal that we placed on the project. It will state that goal participation and the importance of meeting that. And then it will also go into some of the things that the vendors need to do in order to be compliant with our small business requirements, such as providing letters of intent. So the CBEs that are being utilized need to be certified with us in our small business directory. So it lets them know that they do need to be certified. And it lets them know that if you are a CBE that is planning to self-perform on the project as a prime, you will need to still fill out a letter of intent. And so we use this solicitation language in order to not only equip vendors with the tools and the knowledge needed to have the best opportunity to be compliant, but as a reminder to the municipality as well, as like, hey, these are some of the things that we are looking for. So if you're reviewing the bid and you find out that something is not in there and you have the opportunity to get that information back, that can be a trigger for you all as well. So it's not only a learning opportunity for the vendor, but also for the municipality to get familiar with some of the things that we look for when it comes to evaluating these vendors according to our program. So right now, I'll go ahead and switch it over to Lorena Gauss, who will talk to you a little bit more about the rest of the steps in our compliance and monitoring process.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. Hello, everyone. This is Lorena Goss. Thank you so much for being here today with us. And get familiar with the face of us nagging you every month for the MURs. I'm gonna start with the next slide, please, Nicole? So, oh no, so sorry. We were on the fourth one. If you can please go back. I had a little delay on my end. Thank you. So once you have received the solicitation responses from the vendors, please send those responses to us, to SB Surtax, and we will take a look at them. We will receive your email and they are going to be assigned, transferred to either me or Kenny. And if we have all the information, all of the documents, let's say we receive all of the all of the LOIs, or if we're missing something, we're going to reach out to the vendors and give them 3 days to get back to us and provide said documents. Next slide, please. Once we complete this process, we are going to draft a memo where we are going to let you know which of these vendors were compliant and which vendors were not compliant. Now, this is very important to remember. The vendor is going to be held accountable for the percentage they are committed in the LOI. Let's say City of Happy. Let's say City of Happy, let's go to this example that we see right in front of us. City of Happy, the goal for this project was 30%. But at the moment, at the time of solicitation, they said, okay, I think we can do 35%. And they submit LOIs that add to 35%. We're no longer going to hold them to the 30%. Now they're going to be held to that 35%. So keep that in mind. And we are going to make sure they keep that in mind as well. So again, you're going to receive this memo and we're going to let you know which of these vendors you submitted to us are compliant with our small business program. Next slide, please. So this is also a very, very important touch point. Let us know when the project was awarded. We want to know, please send us an email to sbsurtax@broward.org and let us know the name of the project, the awarded amount. We know sometimes there are revisions on the awarded amount, so please let us know award date and the name and contact for the prime of this awarded contract. This is very important to us because we are internally, our team is going to send them a recognition letter. We're going to congratulate them. We're going to welcome them to this process, to the program. A lot of them are brand new to the program, so it is an opportunity for us to walk them through the process and it's be available to them for help. And this is exactly where our monitoring process is going to start for these projects. So this is where we are going to start the monitoring process. Next slide, please. So this is one of my favorite forms for all of our tracking purposes. By the 10th, we get very excited when we receive this because this means you are on track, or we can ask questions. This report, we would really rely on it a lot to do a lot of our job. So make sure you send it to us. Get familiar with all the fields, update the report number, update the CBE commitment, set a reminder if possible, add it to your calendar. You have that window between the 1 and the 10th to send it to us. Please no later than the 10th, because then we internally start all of our reporting process. And we may have to remind you if you didn't send it to us. If you don't send it on time, if it's not resolved or not addressed, it could escalate to a notice to cure or a notice of violation. And we hope that doesn't happen. Again, we're here to help you. If you have doubts on how to fill out the form, Kenny and I are available. We can schedule a call. We can walk you through it really quick. Another thing we do is we perform payment verifications on the 25, 50%, and 75% progress of this project. We're going to touch base with the project manager. just to make sure everything is on track and that any either discrepancies or challenges can be caught on time. So this form is great to avoid any mistakes towards the end or when you are preparing to close out your project. Next slide, please. So you're reaching completion. Actually, if you know you're reaching completion, you can start by sending us an email. Hey, we're reaching completion. We're going to start working on our final monthly utilization report. Once, sorry, once you receive this presentation, you can click the hyperlink. It's going to take you to our final monthly utilization report form. It's very similar to the standard MUR monthly utilization report. It has some slight changes. Send it to the specialist that is assigned to your project and copy SB surtax, or the opposite. Send it to the specialist and send it to SB surtax and copy the specialist. And please include the following information. Has it reached completion? We know amendments and change orders happen. If they do, please let us know. Any outstanding payments, if there's any retainage due, please let us know. So typically, this process takes 10 days, given that we have everything we need to perform the evaluation. We are going to perform independent payment verifications to make sure that the CBEs got paid what we are being told in the MURs on the reports. Once the closeout is completed, this is going to be reviewed and signed by our director, and we are going to send it to you. We're going to let you know. It's going to include a breakdown of all the project attainment, the commitment. You might even receive a congratulations from us. We get a lot of really nice closeouts with really high attainments. So we always give a shout out because that's a really good accomplishment. However, sometimes some of these vendors are deemed non-compliant, or they may even incur in liquidated damages. So please remember, that's why MURs are so important, because we can catch these challenges at the beginning or at an earlier stage of the project. Next slide, please. We know things happen. We know life happens, and you may at some point require either a substitution, an addition, a modification, or even a termination for one of the vendors, one of the CBEs. So all of these are going to require an explanation, are also going to require documents. Are you going to require new LOIs, new agreements? But please remember, for any of these changes, we need prior written approval from Mr. McDonald. So again, if you probably don't remember all of this, you can either go back to the presentation or give us a call. We're happy to explain how the process works. Once we receive all the documents, we verify that the other party agrees to the changes, but it should be a smooth process. Next slide, please. Good faith efforts and liquidated damages. So good faith efforts, it is a term you want to become familiar with. According to our Business Opportunity Act, it is the way you prove that you went to all necessary steps to either attain the goal or the commitment for the participation in this project. And it could help a lot when circumstances happen, right? We understand that. So take that into consideration. We also recommend you become familiar with our Business Opportunity Act, and you can get to know better all of these terms, including liquidated damages. We always hope we never get there. And the definition for liquidated damages, you could be assessed liquidated damages in the amount equal to 50% of the shortfall, but not to exceed 10% of the contract value. Again, we always hope We don't get here. And that's why all of the process prior to this really is focused on avoiding this stage, right? Next slide, please. Piggybacking and continued services agreement. Piggybacking, we have had a few of piggybacking contracts in the county, in our end with the municipalities. Piggybacking, you can either piggyback on either another project for another municipality, or like some of the ones I've handled are piggybacking from another county project. So we have a separate form for this one. Maybe we can attach it with the presentation also, but it requires prior written approval, same prime, same CBEs, same commitment. So it's pretty standard and very similar with continued services agreement. So please remember that we're here. You can give us a call. Kenny and I are always available. If you have any questions, if you can just shoot us an email. We are the two specialists in the compliance section. And of course, Nicole can help a lot with anything that has to do with outreach. And she knows very, very well the program as well. So thank you guys. Please keep our information handy, and I will give it to Nicole now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorena, and thank you guys for sticking with us. I know it's a lot of information. So as Lorena said, we are going to make this available to you. So we will have this recording and the actual slides available. So, and as she said, or Kenny mentioned, you can actually click on the links to find the forms that we mentioned. So now I want to talk to you about my section of the office, which is the community relations and outreach. So my job is to spread the word about these Matt Broward opportunities and to celebrate the successes. So we want to get this information from you and be involved throughout the life of your project. So if you have any Matt Broward projects that you know we've set a goal on, your project has actually hit the street or it's going to hit the street, you've actually awarded it to a vendor, it's actually been completed, we want to know that information so we can celebrate your stories. In just a minute, I'm going to show you the different ways in which we do it, but it's just really key that you stay in contact with us so that we can spread this information and help you to get vendors to participate on your projects. So there's different ways, like I said, that we do. The first way is called the Business Assistance Weekly Newsletter. So this newsletter goes out every single Wednesday from our office. And there is always a section about Matt Broward opportunities, Matt Broward tips, bids that are out. So if you provide me with information about your projects, we will absolutely put it in there for you every week. We also have social media. We're on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter, and we are blasting your information. If you can just go and scroll through our social media, you can see that we've been celebrating everything. If we know a project is out, we're letting folks know. If somebody has been awarded the project, if it's closed out, we're showing how much money has been paid, which CBEs are being used, what CBE attainment there is, but we can't celebrate it and highlight what you guys are doing if we don't know. So anytime you have this information, if you could please reach out to me and let me know so I can spread it across our social media. Also, we have a YouTube channel. Every quarter, I know some of you have seen my Let's Matt Broward with Nikki videos, which are coming back soon, just to let folks know about the great work that you guys are doing. We're interviewing folks, we're going out on site and letting folks see what's really going on in the community. To the right, you'll see the QR code if you want to take a shot of that so you can sign up for our newsletter so you can get that information every week. And it would be great if you could perhaps forward that out to your recipients so they can get that information as well. Also, we have our website. We actually created a Matt Broward page just to celebrate and to showcase the different projects that are out, to let folks know about Matt Broward, but also the small business component of it. So if you guys don't know already, please get in contact with me if you'd like that page, because you can also put that page on the link on your website if you'd like. And also we have upcoming events. So we have events that we tailor just for Matt Broward projects. One of them is coming up in June, so you'll be hearing from me soon. If you have any projects that are Matt Broward funded that are coming out within the next 6 months to a year, I would love for you to come and speak to the audience about those projects. We had this last year and it was a good turnout. We had over about 100 folks show. We're hoping we have more this year. It's going to be at the West Regional Library, but folks are coming out to hear about projects. We have different county agencies coming to speak about their upcoming projects. And last year we had some municipalities present as well. So this is a great opportunity for you to connect with our business community. We have both large and small firms that attend. And even if you don't have projects coming out, it's great to just raise your hand and I can say, hey, is Sunrise there in the background? Hey, wave. And we did have a lot of the municipalities come up and say, hey, you know, folks actually approached me to learn more about how we bid and our whole process. So again, this is a great opportunity. And I'm hoping when you get that email from me, nfrancis@broward.org, that I get some feedback for you guys wanting to participate. The other really big push for the events coming up is the training for primes. Just like we're training you, the municipal staff, we want to train your primes too, because we know some of them have no clue about the small business program, how to find CBEs, where to look in our directory. You know, this program was created, this training is created just for them to understand the CBE program and how to work with our office. So last year we did it, we're going to do it again this year, and I hope we have a bigger turnout, but that can only happen if you help us. We really hope that when the time comes, you will push out this information to your prime vendors so that they can come out and learn about our program. Don't forget, while I'm speaking, don't forget, put your questions in the Q&A, okay? Any questions that you have for us, please put in the Q&A and we're going to address them shortly. So how can you help us? So again, I was mentioning earlier, you can place our webpage, you know, on your website. I met with a municipality recently and they agreed to do that. They said, hey, we're working on a page for procurement. We're going to add your link on there so folks can find more about the Matt Broward projects and how the small business requirement goes along with it. Maybe you can make it part like, hey, every Wednesday or once a week, I'm going to go on the social media of OESBD and find their Matt Broward posts and I'll just share it. You know, just click, boom, and that's it. You're good for the week. That helps us spread the news. Another way you can do it is forward our business assistants weekly newsletter. If you're getting the newsletter anyway, there's going to be snippets about Matt Broward. Maybe you could just forward that to your email list, or you can invite us out and we could talk about certification. So if you have a group of vendors you want us to come and speak to let them know about the CBE program, let them know the benefits and how not only can they bid with you, but now they can be involved in projects throughout the county with the different municipalities. So we want to make those connections because we're only one office, so we know we can't reach everywhere in Broward County. We really need to partner with you. So if you can start thinking and go back to your office and speak with your folks and say, let's brainstorm. What are ways that we can connect with OESBD to let our small businesses know about these opportunities in Broward? And as I keep saying, keep us informed throughout the life of the project. If you know you have Matt Broward projects coming out, you know they're going to come out, they're currently out, they've been awarded, they've been closed out, let us know. And I want to again highlight in this discussion that I am meeting one-on-one with the different municipalities. I've met with about 4 or 5 of you so far, and I've got 1 or 2 scheduled coming up. So there's still quite a bit of you that have not reached out to me about scheduling a one-on-one session. I would love to come in and give you more information about how we can help you, how we can work together, because a lot of these things you may not know in the ways that we can help and work together. So please, if you have not already met with me, contact nfrancis@broward.org to schedule that appointment. So now I'm going to hand it over to Sandy. He'll give you some information about some of our upcoming events, and then he'll take the Q&A session as well. Sandy?
Thank you, Nicole. And for you as municipalities and also especially for your business community, join us May 3rd. This is our annual conference. We traditionally do it at Signature Grand. This year, we're doing it at our convention center. We have at minimum 800 businesses, medium and small, who would join us for a full day where we bring resources and information from the federal, state, as well as the local side to help grow our businesses. The reason this conference is also important And one of the reasons MAP Broward is important, guys, even for you as individual municipalities, 31 municipalities, approximately 2 million residents, 1,300 square miles, and there's at least 85,000 registered businesses in Broward County. But know this, I want to tie the conference to MAP Broward. With at least 85,000 businesses in Broward, and it might not be your job as the economic development side for your city. You really might be the public information officer. You really might be the purchasing director. You might be the engineer or the design person. You just might be the person assigned to MAP Broward. But you should know the reason why we're doing all of this to entice and encourage and support the small businesses in the county. As mentioned, it's 85,000 businesses in Broward, no matter what the size. 89% of them have 20 employees or less. The majority of Broward County are small businesses. So no matter what the industry, American Express, school board, Broward County government, sheriffs, municipalities, some of our larger companies or corporations, spirits in town, out of all the businesses, 89% in Broward have 20 employees or less. That's why the county, we buy about $1 billion of goods, materials, and services every year. That's why we try to make sure at least 25% we do with small business. That's why surtax, the Commission and Oversight Board decided, in addition to my at least 25 for what the county buys, on surtax for the remaining 25, at least 30 is we want to start with, because we recognize the majority of the businesses in Broward are small. SBA says small is 1 to 500 employees. 89% of the companies in Broward, that means the majority of the companies in your individual city all have 20 employees or less. So we're doing this because if one community is trying to use their businesses, not with special pricing, not with less than quality product, if you can get the quality of product, and if you don't have to pay more additional dollars, and you can find that from businesses in your community, and if not in your community, in the remainder of our county, and if every community was doing that, if every municipality in Broward was doing that, in addition to Broward County government, that's how we grow our base in our county, because you already know the majority of the businesses in your city also hire individuals from your city as well as from around the county. So this is just another opportunity. So this conference is designed to bring our medium and primarily our small businesses under one roof, to bring and show them all the resources, talk to them about opportunities, make sure we have some inspiring speakers. We always feed them a good lunch. The conference is free. May 3rd at the Convention Center. If available, you join us. But if not, please make sure you find a way to share this with the businesses in your community. And we thank you in advance. Next slide. So now we're going to go to the Q&A. And as we go to the Q&A, and I got about 4 lined up, please keep in mind, even after we finish the Q&A, if you or your team needs one-on-one, you can schedule that one-on-one. If you and your team want to meet with me to better understand the economic realm, the potential economic impact, and another one of the reasons why this was tied to MAP Broward, we're more than happy to share that. And also keep in mind, because you are a larger audience and you have different needs and you also operate differently. If you ever need my shop, whether that's MAP Broward or whether it's just my office or my economic development division or my small business division, if you ever need us to come with you to do a workshop for you, your business community, your business organizations, anyone, guys, that's why we're here. We are actually here for you. And we're excited, as Nicole said, to be a part of the surtax to demonstrate just another way businesses, especially small businesses, can participate and grow. So let's do it. Got any Q&A? I saw some chit chat, and my staff is looking at the chat, but are there any questions for the Q&A?
We had two that were answered. So if folks didn't see the questions in there, they said, will the presentation slides be emailed after the presentation? And Jenna responded, yes. Someone also asked, what information should be sent to OASBD after bid opening if no goals were assigned to a project? That's a good question. Kenny, you want to elaborate a bit on that?
Sure thing. When it comes to projects where we have deemed it to be a no goal, we don't continue to track those projects or monitor those projects for compliance. So in regards to what forms you should submit or what else you should submit after that point, after you receive that no goal, since we do not track or monitor it going forward, you will not need to provide us any further documentation. Although we do strongly encourage that if you do see CBE utilization, we encourage you to promote that if it is available. And if you do manage to have a project that had a no goal and perhaps there was some CBE utilization, we want to know about it because we want to celebrate those wins. That's how important these small businesses are to our division and also to us as a county.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Kenny.
Kenneth. That's spot
Sandy.
on. And
Oh,
as Kenneth mentioned, we also don't establish goals on 250,000 or less. So let's be real. We're talking about small business. There's some activity that you're going to have for 80,000, 110, 140. I won't be establishing a goal. But when you sent me that goal request, and once we realize that it's under 250, we send you the memo back saying we're not establishing a goal. To Kenneth's point, you don't have to do any more documentation with me, but also know I'm taking that information and I'm going to share it. We're going to trail you because even that 80,000, that 110, that $150,000 contract, we want to encourage your small business and other small businesses to go after that. We don't need, as a county, a $150,000 contract going to a $200 million company. Your $150,000 contract, though it won't have a goal set, is a perfect entry spot for your small businesses. So though by ordinance, we don't set goals on any project activity under 250,000, and though, as Kenneth mentioned, after we send that memo back saying no goal, you don't have any official obligation to share anything with me, we're still going to try to find out as much as we can because we're going to promote that in our newsletter. We're going to promote that in direct target marketing. We're going to promote that whenever you officially put your bid on the street. We're going to encourage all of my smallest of small businesses. Don't let that get away. Just because you don't see a goal, you know, as a small business, that 150,000 got your name on it. Competitively go after it. So I'm glad that was a question asked. I'm glad Kenny answered it. And I just want you to know, no additional documentation is needed from you when we don't establish a goal. But when we still see opportunities that small businesses can take advantage of, we always want to share and feed them that information.
great. Sandy, can you also speak to what happens if the bidders don't meet the goal? So you set a goal on a project and the bidders are falling short. Can you explain to them? Yes.
Thank you. And I want to do that similarly to what Lorena was saying. Guys, our program is set up, remember, even before Matt Broward. I've been here 10 years, 11 years in May, administering the county small business program. The county's small business program originally started in 1992 as an MBE and WBE program. It transitioned in 2010, 2012 to what we now know as SBE, CBE. And for another day, I'll tell you about the federal program, DBE, ACDBE. But to Nicole's point, guys, we set it up so that I don't have to get to liquidated damages. If we're actually communicating, if you're sending me your project at the beginning for goal consideration, if we then send you a memo back with a recommended goal, if you put the project on the street for solicitation with our language about our program, if when your bids come back, you allow us to look bare minimum to make sure whoever responded is going to meet compliance, if you end up going through your process and you award a project, based on who you award to and you let us know, we're going to send a congratulations letter. We're going to let them know, glad you won. You picked these 2 CBEs, and we're going to be monitoring the 3 of you for the duration of the project. We're going to stay in touch with that prime. We're going to do the monitoring every month of that prime. We'll let you know if ever there's an issue. ever there's a hiccup, we want to work with you as the governing body, the municipality, because it's your interlocal agreement that you've decided as a city, as a commission, to work within this surtax, to have access to these funds. So our job through process is to make sure that you're definitely successful. So on your behalf, in conjunction with you, we will monitor the prime every single month. We'll make sure that the prime knows if the small business is not delivering, if they're not doing what they're supposed to. There's a substitution process. I can do that process in 3 days to 5 days to remove a CBE so that your prime can get another CBE and keep it going. We're here to make your project successful. But as Nicole said, even with all those dotted I's and crossed T's, if we end up getting to the end of a project, including all this monitoring, including notice to cure, including convening meetings, if for somehow we get to the end and something has fallen through the crack and the goal is now short by ordinance, just like the county's program, my staff would put the statute out, Lorena spoke to it, that speaks to liquidated damages, that describes what could happen at the discretion by ordinance of the director. And as the municipality, you would be getting that communication directly. But to help you not get that communication, if you are communicating with me and we are working with you, we never, and I do mean never, need to get to this point. But when we are not communicating, when someone does forget a major step, when we're not notified that a project was ever even awarded, and then we find out at the end that it's done, we missed a whole bunch of steps. We have no choice but to effectuate and to execute the ordinance, which now speaks to liquidated damages. So yes, there are real chances that a municipality, not a prime, can end up getting a communication from us about liquidated damages. But the same way I just described it, it was described at the beginning during the ILA conversations, during the original meetings that we had at the convention centers and others, when we explained the program. The intent is not to get there. No different than my county program. The intent is not to get there, but it is established because once again, we might as well own the fact. I just mentioned 89% of the businesses in Broward are small. And if we all got to buy goods, material, services anyway, we need to make sure how many of those we can buy from small, we buy from small. So we also don't want people committing to work with small and then don't work with small. So at the end of the day, this is designed to make sure folks know in advance that if you fall short, the liquidated damages clause can be executed and administered, and to be open, it will be. But again, intentionally, which is why I said you can have a meeting one-on-one with me or with my staff. You should always alert us if something happens that was not anticipated. Intentionally, there's too many steps during the process that will help us keep from ever getting to liquidated damages as long as there's good communication. You heard Lorena, that's another part of good faith effort. Another part of good faith effort is genuinely and honestly in advance or timely having communication. As long as I know what's going on, and at the end of the day, as long as no one's usurping the program, as long as no one's trying to go around the program, but things do happen, guys, that's good faith effort. But when we're not communicating, when we're sending information and we're not hearing it to the end, that's not good faith effort. So it's in the ordinance. You can read it. It's a part of the Business Opportunity Act. It's in our ordinance. But at the end of the day, there are far too many steps and procedures in place that if we both followed, we should never get there.
Thank you, Sandy. Last question from Brenda says, please share with us where we can find the rule, statute, or what have you that shows the CBE/SBE $250,000 threshold.
Yes, so we'll send that to you because my program, again, when the county set up MAP Broward, originally penny for transportation surtax, now MAP Broward, what they adopted was the Broward County's Office of Economic and Development Small Business Program. But when the county and the oversight board committed to the program, they committed to the CBE. So we'll give you the ordinance and you'll start with the CBE. The reason I'm saying that, I do have an SBE. See, for my county program, I set goals under 250. I shelter under 250. But because Matt Broward's program was only driven off of the CBE, that's why we start 250 and greater. Don't ask me, because I would love to put a goal on the 150s, the 180s, and the 200s. I would love to reserve those for my small business, but the program doesn't allow that. So 250 and under, we don't establish. In my ordinance, that's going to be reading as the SBE, Small Business Enterprise Sheltered Market Program. That's everything 250 and under. And then in that same ordinance, you'll read CBE, and that's 250,000 and more. And it's the CBE that's tied to the Matt Broward program. But we'll give you the entire BOA, which is the Business Opportunity Act, which is the ordinance for our program. You'll actually read both in the ordinance, SBE and CBE. But then when you relate that to the interlocal agreement, when you relate that to surtax or Matt Broward, they only speak to CBE. That's how it's divided. So only CBE we establish goals.
Thank you. That was our last question.
So guys, I want to thank you again, and I'm glad you're here. And we're gonna capture everybody's name. And if you had somebody who was here and we didn't know they was here, make sure we have their name, because I do apologize with a smile. See, I'm that tattletale, because I like to promote and be excited about those that we're helping and we're participating with. But I'm also like the school teacher. I got to make sure that the community knows, not the community, but the elected officials and the others knows who are not with us. Because again, I need to make sure everyone's aware. So all of you are safe. At my next presentation, I get to give the list of every one of my communities who showed up, and I get to say thank you in advance. But there's still another chance for my communities who did not show up to show up for the next one, because we're here to work with everyone. So again, thank you. Really appreciate your time. And at the end of the day, as we said earlier, if you need to reach out to me or reach out to my staff, if you need to schedule a one-on-ones, please do so. Thank you again, and have a great day.